Come in, Lazarski.
Hello everybody!
Hi.
We are here again, so it means there's another game for you to play. It's called Observer. It's a cyberpunk game, and I realized we got a lot of horror games, and this is again should be kind of horror, detective, kind of adventure, I would even say, game.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things inside.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the game?
Well, I first went on kind of a roller coaster with this
Yeah.
game because we got two games this week from Epic that were presented as horror games. I was not happy about that. I did not think it was fair.
I actually was a bit, because the Observer was one of the games I actually wanted to play, but didn't get the chance. So I really was interested in playing it.
I remember seeing some trailers for this maybe 1 year ago and thinking that's a really interesting concept. It could be interesting to try.
It is.
But then I saw that it was presented as a horror game and I thought, okay, maybe that's not for me.
He doesn't like horror games.
If you haven't watched
But he
any of our videos,
keeps getting them.
yeah, but I keep having to play them. So far, though, I've actually been lucky because Observer, like American Nightmare, like Conarium, like the other games we've played, this also is not a horror game. Or maybe I'm completely wrong about the genre. Or
Maybe you're fine.
maybe I'm tougher and harder to scare than I think. But then the first 20 minutes of the game, I was really intrigued. I really wanted to like it, but I feel like most of the potential of the game was not really brought to life.
Well, for me, I did really like the detective parts. And I think the game should have stick to detective part. Because there's actually, I love the voice of the main character.
I need to check the victim's compass for connection. 6 million volts wasn't enough.
And the sounds, voices, and the music genre. I really like that. I think it was really good made and added for the atmosphere. And the graphic was,
The
even
visuals.
though, yeah, the visual is great, even though the locations are kind of limited.
Yeah.
It's
not open world.
It's not open world. You have kind of mostly you are indoor because you have a big hotel of some sort, and sometimes you get some nice actually bright areas. But that's about it.
But it's the sound effects. But for me, I was really impressed by the visuals because it really creates an atmosphere of this kind of dystopian cyberpunk world.
It's a good cyberpunk in visual.
Yeah, the visualization of it, the creation of the world, and also kind of the mythology behind it.
Okay.
No,
I think the
mythology is the wrong
story
word.
is interesting too.
I found the world interesting, and because of that, I wanted to get into the story, but it didn't quite pull me in. The world felt real, but the characters didn't quite feel real enough for me. So then
there's not much of the characters. There's the main one, there's a janitor, and then there's many characters behind the doors.
Yeah, that you speak to through the intercom. The voice acting is great, but you will never see them.
Yeah.
I think this was one of the problems for me is the world does not feel very lived in, which fits the theme because it's kind of an empty, depressed world.
There's a hotel and it's in lockdown, so everybody is locked in, so it kind of makes sense.
There are explanations.
Yeah, there are explanations.
But then, so going from the atmosphere to the theme of the game, this kind of world that they've created, and they're trying to say some very interesting things about memory, because what the main character can do as an observer is he can actually hack into people's brains and look at their memories. And these are always presented in slightly different ways that if you're kind of interested in philosophy or these kinds of things, it's clear that the developers have thought a lot about how people remember.
I think that's a good thought, but the parts that when you get into someone's brain, it actually gets so crazy that I think only because of these parts, I cannot recommend this game because sometimes it gets so crazy that it can actually destroy you. Like if you are weaker in your mind, it could actually affect you. It's like the computer is broken and all the flashes, and it's so long. Like the actual detective part, it's like fine, but then you hack into the brain and you play another 20 minutes, totally different concept, and totally crazy.
I think you're right in suggesting that this game is trying to be too many things, because it's
Again,
the cyberpunk world and the detective theme does not need the psychological horror element added to it, and it just becomes too many things. I think it could have been a much stronger game if it didn't try to be kind of a horror thriller game and just was a strong kind of detective game in this dystopian world. And that's why I think those long scenes when you're inside people's brains and memories, it's interesting, but it feels disconnected.
It's interesting only for a few moments. It's not when you jump. Well, in these scenes, you jump like to 30 different concepts, and you have no idea what to do. And there's sometimes not even the point. It doesn't matter what you do in there.
And this, for me, kind of summing it up, I think that I was disappointed because in the end, this feels like a really strong proof of concept. Do you know this phrase, proof of concept? It's what like a developer would create if they have an idea and they want to show an investor how the idea could work. So for me, this felt like a demonstration of a lot of interesting ideas of a really cool game, but that it's just the test to make sure that all the mechanics and that the world works and that the atmosphere is right. And all of that is good, but the end result feels unfinished and kind of disconnected and left me kind of just uninterested. Like it was hard for me to get pulled into it. I wanted to, and there's a lot of good stuff there, but...
So would you recommend the game?
Well,
because I did like it in the end, even though there's things I didn't like about it, but in general I finished the game, so as a whole piece I did like it, but I cannot really recommend it to you because of the crazy parts and because it's going to be for very limited group of people. Like maybe you could explain like for who should play it?
Yeah, actually that's exactly where I wanted to go, because I think that you should play it if one of these things is true, and that's anyone who really likes the cyberpunk theme. This is a great representation of the cyberpunk world. Anyone who's interested in post-apocalyptic worlds, because it's a kind of a different approach to that. Detective games. If you like detective games, there are some elements that do it a little bit differently in Observer. You have like 2 types of different scanners to look for clues in different ways, so it kind of creates another dimension.
That's an interesting concept.
This is interesting. It's unfortunate they did not focus on that, but it is worthwhile. And finally, I would say anyone who's looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077 from CD Projekt Red, probably coming out next year, if you cannot wait for this game to come out and you need something to give you a little bit of a taste of what it might be like, this is not Cyberpunk 2077, but it might give you a little bit of a feel.
It might look like that a bit and might get a little bit of like a taste of the atmosphere.
It will be interesting when Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, because Observer is also from a Polish developer. It's also cyberpunk theme. It'll be interesting to see if CD Projekt Red was kind of inspired by some elements of Observer. We'll see.
Hopefully they will cut out the crazy parts.
And in any case, even if you're not in any of those categories, like normally this game is almost $30 on Steam when it's full price.
Expected.
It got very good reviews, so don't only take our opinion about it. At least you can click on it, add it to your library.
But I think still you should be careful about it, because the game could really mess your head.
I mean, if anyone has problems with like flashing lights or...
Flashing lights, and if you get really deep into it and there's like things chasing you and like disorientation, like...
So this
if you go through the whole story, like you might feel like you were in the Matrix or something like that.
But this suggests that it's actually effective as a psychological horror game.
I think it is. But not in a positive way.
Okay.
It's more like...
2, like
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
psychologically hacked. Okay, well, if that sounds like an interesting experience to you, right?
If you want to be hacked,
Observer is for you.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let us know what you think. Have you played this game? Are you planning to play it? Let us know in the comments. We would love to hear from you. We're really glad that you watched this video and hopefully others.
And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe because we're here every week to give you the ideas about the free games.
And if you like this video, you think it's useful, think of sharing it with some friends, maybe on Facebook or telling your friends about it just so we can get the word out and so that
Anything
more people
else?
find our videos useful. That would be great. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Activity within the last 15 minutes. I don't get it. I'm not even plugged in. Am I fucking losing it? Fuck.